What Lonzo Thinks is a free-flowing discussion where I talk about everything from music, film, politics, sports, religion, current events, pop culture. You name it, if it's going down, I'm going to speak on it. You suck as a coach. You're a nigger, and you can't win. Please get lost, or else. Anonymous. That is a letter that was sent to Kevin Sumlin, the head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies, a member of the Southeastern Conference, and a winning program based out of College Station, Texas. Now, last weekend, they played in Los Angeles against UCLA, the University of California at Los Angeles. And at one point in the game, in the third quarter, they had a 44-10 lead. They eventually lost the game 45-10. I watched that game. A lot of things happened that were kind of kooky. They caused the game to go in different directions. They started out really hot, played very well. They dominated the first portion of the game. In the second portion of the game, their starting quarterback got injured. They had to bring in a freshman who obviously was not ready. And the defense got tired. The defense made some bad plays. There were some strange miracle-type plays that happened. Most notably, there was a pass that the UCLA quarterback, Josh Rosen, threw, and it went straight through the hands of the defensive player who was going to intercept it. Went straight through his hands and was caught by the UCLA receiver who scored the touchdown. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, that really turned the game around. It gave UCLA hope. And as in sports, when a team gets momentum, starts believing, things can go bad and fast. Don't believe me? Ask the Atlanta Falcons. Now, when it comes to athletics, especially major athletics, sports, major college football, pro football, the coach is the lightning rod. No matter what happens on the field, the coach is going to take the praise, and the coach is going to take the blame, and deservedly so. These coaches make a lot of money, they have a lot of pressure on them, and they have big responsibilities, but they're paid well for it, so therefore it comes with the job. And when you have a 44-10 lead in the third quarter of a football game, and if you lose that game, then yes, you need to take the lion's share of the blame. And Sumlin definitely was accountable and took that blame. Now, of course, the coaches don't play football. They coach it. They're not on the field. They're not the ones who have to execute, but they have to put the right players on the field in the right position to be successful. And obviously, it's a collaborative effort between the players and the coaches. And some bad decisions were made. And it ultimately resulted in them losing the game. Now, this wasn't the Super Bowl Falcons. This is the first game of the college football season. It's a non-conference game. Neither UCLA or Texas A&M are going to contend for a national championship. Ain't going to happen. No matter what happened in this game, neither one of these teams are going to be in the college football playoff. They know it. You know it. I know it. Move on. Of course, you want to win every game you play. But in the college football world, non-conference games are what they call a litmus test. It's basically meaningless exhibition games to see where your team is at. Of course, the games count in the standings. And if you're a team like Alabama or Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State, if you lose one game, it could wreck your season and knock you out of the playoffs. I get that. But at the same time, if your team is really good and you win your conference, especially one of the top 5 conferences, which is ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, I guess the Big Ten is now the Big 12, and you also have you have the Big 12, you have the Big Ten, the Pac-10, SEC, and ACC. Those are the major conferences. So if you win the major conference, the odds of you making the playoffs are pretty much solid. So Texas A&M being from the Southeast Conference, their season is not over. It's just beginning. If they run the table, they are going to the playoffs. It's not going to happen, but I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. They have to go through LSU, Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss. That's SEC is the toughest conference in America. So their season is not wrecked. Same thing with UCLA. They have to go through USC, Stanford, Washington, Oregon in order to make the playoffs. But if they lost that game to Texas A&M, they still would at least be mathematically in place for a playoff spot. So the point I'm trying to make is that this game wasn't for all the marbles. It wasn't life or death. It was a non-conference game. It's a good barometer to see where your team is at. And with Texas A&M, they have a strong running game. Their passing game needs work, and their defense is not deep. They have a decent defense, but they have no depth. It appears that the players got tired, and the backups were not good enough to sustain what the defense had built in the first half, which was a 34-point lead. So, of course, when you lose a big game, especially the way that they lost it, when you have a 34-point lead, you shouldn't lose ever. So I get the fans' frustration. I was frustrated for them. As an SEC fan, I was rooting for Texas A&M to pull the game out. So I can get the frustration. But when you get so frustrated, so upset over a football game that you write a letter, send it to the coach, to his home. And by the way, Sumlin, if you don't know, he is black. And you send it to his home, threatening him, calling him nigger, that he needs to get lost, or else what? That's the part that really gets me, the or else part. I mean, the N-word, nigger, I'm a black man. It don't bother me. I've heard it a billion times. After a while, it just bounces off. You don't care who it comes from. If it comes to me from a white person, I'm gonna swing on them, or there's gonna be some action going on. But at the same time, it don't cut me to the bone. But the or else part, that's telling me that you're threatening me and my family with bodily harm. And that's where I draw the line. And I'm hoping that Kevin Sumlin feels the same way. I'm sure he's heard the N-word a billion times, especially being a football coach in hostile territory and things of that nature. I'm sure he's desensitized to it just like I am. But the or else part, that's what gets me. Now, I was watching First Take earlier today, and Max Kellerman, Will Kane, and Stephen A. Smith were discussing this issue, and it turns out that the person that sent this sent it from the address of a country club. So if you paint that mental picture, you kind of see where this is going. Now, after that loss, one of the boosters for Texas A&M, I think he's actually on the board, made some very direct comments that Sumlin should be fired, and that if he has a vote, he'd vote for him being fired. That's your right. If you sit on the board and you're one of the decision makers when it comes to hiring and firing coaches at Texas A&M, and you feel that Sumlin needs to go, hey, go with God. That's your business. And he voiced that opinion. That's his right. I don't agree with it because Sumlin has a winning record. He's been 8-5 the last 3 seasons. That's a winning record. 8-5 in the Southeastern Conference, especially when you gotta play. You're in the same division as Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Arkansas, Ole Miss. 8-5 ain't bad. Trust me on that. It ain't bad. They've won bowl games. When he had Johnny Manziel there, Johnny Football, everybody was loving him. He was his name was being thrown around to be an NFL coach. Everybody was like, hey, how long is Sumlin gonna stay at Texas A&M? Is he gonna go to Texas? Is he gonna go to a bigger program? But now all of a sudden, Johnny Football is gone. And by the way, they didn't win anything with Johnny Football. They didn't win the SEC. They didn't win a national championship. They won a bowl game. I think they won the Peach Bowl. Okay, big whoop. But they didn't win anything big with Johnny Football. So Sumlin is what he is. He's a competent coach. He's won everywhere he's been. He was at Houston. He had Case Keenum. They were setting records at Houston. So he's a winning coach at a national level. You don't get to the heights that he's gotten to without being competent. They don't just give away jobs, especially the black coaches in the NCAA. You got to prove something. So he didn't forget how to coach overnight. The kids had a bad game. They played well, built a big lead, ran out of gas. It happens. Get over it. Now, if this was a national championship game, yeah, I get it. Like in the Super Bowl. Then you got a right to be a little bit more frustrated. But as things currently stand, that game is not the be-all to end-all. And the reaction from the fans, especially the racist fans, way out of line. So to the person that anonymously wrote that letter to Kevin Sumlin and sent it to his home, his wife found the letter, by the way, and she posted it online. Max Kellerman said, "You're a punk." I'm going to echo those sentiments, but add a little bit to it. You're a punk bitch. So if you're listening, you're a punk bitch. And I was reading online as well. There are some people who are saying that this letter is a hoax. That they're saying that it could have been sent by a black person to fan the racial flames and play the race card. You have no proof that it was sent by a white person. You have no proof it was sent by someone who's a member of this country club. You're right, we don't have proof. We can only go by what we see. And you're going to speculate based on what you have, not based on anything other than that. So if you're speculating that it's a hoax or written by a black person, fine, speculate. But I'm going to speculate that it was written by a white person from this country club. That's here nor there, because the person that wrote it didn't have the balls to put their name behind it. So I'm going to speculate based on how I want to speculate, and others will speculate on how they want to speculate, and keep it moving from there. But that feeds into another question or another situation or another problem, dilemma, call it what you will. Black people always been accused of playing the race card. Mighty funny that whenever something negative happens, especially on a national level with a black person, the hate mail starts pouring in, and it's nigga, 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 nigga. But we're the ones playing the race card. It's like we're the ones who are just pulling this shit out of the air and saying, hey, it's racial, it's racial, it's racial. That shit comes from somewhere. No, this ain't a game. We ain't playing cards. It's real life. And when you're black, especially in America, especially in our current climate, race cards getting played left and right, and it's not being played by us. It's being played by them, the racists. And it's always been like that. We react based on what stimulates that reaction. As a black man, I can honestly say I don't go around looking for race. I don't go around looking for race cards to play. I don't go around looking for discrimination. But damn it, when you get discriminated against, it hits you like a ton of bricks. And that's one of the things that a certain segment of our society simply cannot, will not ever understand. There's a stigma attached to you as a black person in America. It follows you everywhere you go. Yeah, you try to shake it off. You know, you're conditioned to it as a black person. But everywhere you go, it's there. Michael Bennett can tell you that. Hell, I can tell you that. I've been subjected to it recently by police. It happens. It follows us. But we're aware of it. And when it gets to a tipping point, we speak on it. We see the looks. We hear the words. We feel the discomfort when we're in certain situations. It's not us imagining it. It is what it is. So, to the person out there, or persons out there, who play race cards by sending out threatening letters, it's not just you. We know it's a secret society out there. A lot of folks who don't have the courage to say what they really feel. We work with them every day. We see them every day. They wear uniforms. They are teachers. They're administrators. They're bankers. They're decision makers. They don't wear it on their sleeve, but damn it, it's there. And that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with that. So I hope Kevin Sumlin gets to keep his job. I hope he has a good season. If he goes 8-5, he'll probably get fired this time around. Or maybe he won't, because everything's been highlighted now. And maybe the folks at Texas A&M won't fire him because they don't want to be accused of being racist. But I hope he has a good season. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's going to win more than he loses. But I'm telling you right now, if Kevin Sumlin was a white coach with a 44-21 record at Texas A&M, he wouldn't be feeling the heat he's feeling now. Held to a higher standard. 44-21 record by a black coach is not as good as a 44-21 record by a white coach. That white coach is getting promoted. He's getting the next big job that comes open. The black coach, you better stay where you're at and not fuck it up. This is what Lonzo thinks. Bye.